Okay, we're back on page 86. Now, Lot, top of page 86. So Lot says, look, I don't want you to do that to my guests. I've taken my guests in, and here, take my daughters. That was the last thing. Second line from the top. Hinena li shtei banos. I have two daughters. Please, hinena li shtei banos asher lo yodu ish. Otzi anasan aleichem. I'll send them out to you. Vasula and katov beinechem. Do whatever you want. Rak la'anoshim ha'el al tasu dover. Don't do anything to them. Ki al kain ba'u b'tzol korasi. Now, I want to ask you a question. Does Lot have any other option under the circumstance? Let's say Lot would say to you, look, I really have no other choice. I have no choice but to give them my daughters. What would your reaction be to that?
He'd give up himself.
You die before you do that. Yeah. I'll fight to the finish. I'm not going to give them my daughters. I'm going to hand your daughters over. Okay? So the fact that you don't have any other option, it's not an excuse. I don't have any other option, so I'll do this. No, you wouldn't. Even with no other option, that you would not do that. Okay? So we started talking yesterday about what father would do such a thing. Well, imagine a man who pays $30,000 a year to send his daughter off to Arizona State University or Florida State University or Wisconsin or USC or any other university in the United States. What you're after is sending your daughter off. You know she's going to be under peer pressure with friends just like her who are getting drunk and behaving a certain way. And you know your daughter is going to be certainly used and probably abused on the campus. You know that's going to happen, and you know that your daughter is going to come back, and then statistically, there are statistics that show 50% of girls in American campuses are depressed. One of the reasons they're depressed is because they know that they're being used. The guys are all thrilled. Guys are happy. The girls are depressed because they know that they're being used and abused. And if you don't behave that way, you're going to be socially ostracized. Now, the father, you're willingly sending your daughter into that situation. And not only you're willingly doing it, you're paying for it. So aren't you just like Lot? And the guy says, yeah, but what am I supposed to do? 1 second. That's not an excuse. You don't have another option? You don't have any other option? Keep her home. Move to Alaska. Do something. But the last thing you're going to do is say, well, I have nothing else to do. This is what society does, so I'm sending my daughter off to have this happen to her. You understand? You understand what's going on? You understand how ridiculous that is? Now, take a look at Pasuk Perek Yud Tes. This is where we're holding. Take a look at Perek Yud Tes. Pasuk Yud Beis. Okay, so the angels now they go out and they pull Lot inside the house, and they close the door. And then take a look at Pasuk Yud Aleph. Sorry, Pasuk Yud Aleph. It's about 8 lines from the top. The people at the entrance of the house, they blinded. How does the Arabs go? They struck with blindness. Mikoton ve'ad godol, young to old. In other words, the angels did something supernatural. They struck everybody with blindness. So these people are groping around. Vayulu limso apasach. They made efforts. They couldn't find the entrance to the house because now all the people at the entrance of the house are all blinded. Vayomru anoshim. Let's read 4 or 5 psukim. Vayomru anoshim elot. Od milecha po chason uvenecha uvnosecha v'chol asher lecha ba'ir. Who else do you have here? Your son-in-laws and your sons and daughters. Hotzei min hamakom. Take them out of this place. Ki mashchisim anachnu es hamakom hazeh. We are going to destroy this place. Ki godlat tza'akosam es pnei Hashem. Their cry has come out to Hashem. Vayashlichenu Hashem l'shachosah. Hashem has sent us to destroy it. Hashem has sent us to destroy the city. Now, look what happens over here. Pasuk Yudal. This is where we want to pick it up. Vayetze Lot vaydaber el chasonav. Lot goes over to talk to his son-in-laws, Lokchei ben Osef, who married his daughters. Vayomer kumu tzu'u min hamakom hazeh. Get up and leave this place. Ki mashchis Hashem eser. Hashem's going to destroy the city. Vayhi kemetzachek beinei chasonav. He looked like a jester in their eyes. How does the Art Scroll translate it? A jester. Wow, look at that. They were laughing at him. Wait, Hashem's going to, it's like walking down the streets of Manhattan and some nut is standing out there with a sign, 12 days till the world is destroyed. Everybody's another one who escaped for the day. Another lunatic. Guys walk around and say, so Lot says, listen, Hashem's about to destroy this place. You're in the most prosperous land in the world. You're in the most prosperous city in the country, and you say, hey guys, get out of here. You better pack up and get out. Hashem, the Lord, is going to destroy the place. So they're laughing at it. So first of all, this is also an indication. It's a precursor. What is that the word? Precursor. A precursor of history. Where you see, in the Jews in Germany, they didn't see the writing on the wall. The Jews in Germany didn't see. The Jews in France today don't see the writing on the wall. So Jews in France do. The French are coming to Israel. They're coming in droves. The biggest aliyah in Israel is from France because they do see the writing on the wall. The Jews in Germany, you didn't see that they're making anti-Jewish laws, or they're making, what do you call it? You don't see what's there. The answer is that there's always a human being always goes, well, this, you can't, it's not going to get worse than this, especially when you are biased. And you're biased because you have money, and you have possessions, you have family, you're well established. To get up and move. Moving is traumatic. They say that moving from one location to another is the second most traumatic event of a person's life. The most traumatic is obviously the loss of a close person, loss of a close family member, but somebody close. Moving is traumatic, and then you lose money, and it costs you money, and you got to get reestablished. You don't have a job. Everything goes with it. Didn't you see? The answer is, what are you talking about? Don't be such a what do you call it? A panic button. You're pushing a panic button. Okay, things are rough. Things will ease off. We get another government. There's elections coming up. Things the world's not going to let him do this. All the rationalization goes with it. At the end of the day, you're a scoffer. You look like you're jesting. Now, one of the commentaries, I'll get to you in a second. One of the commentaries says like this. They're very much, the idea is much deeper. Why are they really laughing at him? Why are they really laughing? So let's look at that pasuk Yudalit again. Now look very closely at what it says in the pasuk. Lot says, "Vayetze Lot ledaber el chasanav lokchi v'nosav v'yomer kumutzu min hamakom as I leave this place, ki mashchis Hashem es ha'ir." But he uses the word Yud Kei Vav Kei. Hashem's name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is really the name of what? It's the name of mercy. Elokim is the name of din. So I come over you. It's like, remember what I mentioned when Israel had when Israel had made a peace treaty with Yasser Arafat, Olaf Schnabel, and when Israel made a peace treaty with Yasser Arafat, and then Arafat gave a speech in South Africa calling for a jihad on Jerusalem. They just signed the peace accord, and he called for a jihad on Jerusalem. So the Israelis were up in arms. They said to the Americans, hey, the guy's calling for a jihad after we made a peace. So the Americans said to Arafat, try to, soften it up a little. So he said, well, I meant a jihad of peace. A jihad is a holy war. I meant a jihad of peace. It's like saying, well, we'll drop a friendly nuke on Iran. Right? You understand? There's a contradiction in terms over here. So a guy comes along and says, listen, the merciful Lord is turning over this city. Whatever else you want to use, you could say the God of justice is turning over. See, not the merciful way. You had Yud Kei Vav Kei. You're a clown. You're a senile old clown, and the proof is that you're talking nonsense. The whole thing is not the prediction isn't right, and the way you're saying is right. The whole thing. That's why they're laughing. So the commentaries explain. So then why did he use Yud Kei Vav Kei? Why did he use Hashem's merciful name? So let me ask you a question. Imagine there's a baby who's crying. And the mother would like to get to the baby, father would like to get to the baby with some food. And some guy's blocking his way. The guy's blocking his path. God says, can you move out of the way? I got to feed the baby. No. Can you get out of the way? I got to feed the baby. No. So he pushes him out of the way. Is he being cruel or merciful? Of course. He's got to get to the baby. The baby needs the food. You're blocking my path. Avram Avinu, his chesed, the chesed that Avram Avinu has brought to the world, chesed begets chesed. That means if you do chesed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showers down chesed. When you learn Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showers down goodness to the world. Whatever you do, there's a shower of good. The God rewards with good. Chesed brings chesed. Now there's something that's an impediment. God would like to drop, God's the Father, would like to feed his child chesed. There's something blocking that chesed, which is what? The cruelty of Sodom. And therefore, God is going to overturn Sodom because that's an act of kindness to the rest of the world. We got to get this trash out of the way so that we can bestow good on the rest of the world. So it's an act of chesed. It's a Yud Kei Vav Kei. Mercy is a very, very, cruelty and mercy are very, very subtle terms. Harry Truman said when they dropped the nuclear bomb, Harry Truman said, listen, better 100,000 of them should die than one American should die. They're attacking us. We have to kill them. In other words, his approach was, this is war. And my obligation is to protect my people. And the Torah says the same thing. If you see somebody, Reuven is chasing Shimon to kill him. Should you step in and kill Reuven? You have an obligation to kill him if you're trying to kill him. What if 20 people are chasing Shimon? 20 people are chasing Shimon to murder him. Should you kill those 20 people? Yeah, and it's an act of mercy. It's an act of mercy. You're going to kill them, and it's an act of mercy. Because, and the ultimate act of mercy is when Pinchas kills Zimri and Cosby. Remember, Pinchas takes the spear and he kills them? So, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu reward him with? Hineni nosein lo brisi shalom. He gets my covenant of peace for committing the most violent act that we find anywhere in the Torah graphically described. And he gets a covenant of peace. That means you got the Nobel Peace Prize for nuking somebody. Well, it depends. If they deserve to be nuked, and by that way I protected the innocent, you're right, you should get the Nobel Peace Prize. And Truman claimed that brought peace to the world, otherwise a lot more people would have been killed. Okay, I'm not using Truman as the model, I'm just using him as an example. I'm not using him as the model. So here the Torah says, Lot says, listen, Hashem's overturning the city. You know why he's overturning the city? He's overturning the city because they are cruel and they're blocking God's kindness from coming to the world. That's why he uses the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Question, yeah.
I've heard a different explanation that he was actually being merciful even to Saddam because of the fact of, spiritually, I guess they would have a much worse fate if they kept on.
There could also be. That's also sometimes God will put somebody to death for his benefit because if he's alive for longer, then he'll do more averas. That could be also, yeah.
The sons-in-laws. This is after the angels made the people blind.
Yeah, that's why one of the commentaries actually says they looked at him with distorted vision and he looked like he was laughing. So they thought it was all a joke because they were evil also. One of the commentators actually says that the blindness wasn't actually, Sanveirim was a form of distortion. I once saw a movie called Empire of the Ants. You ever saw Empire of the Ants? Yeah, it didn't make it. I saw it was a double feature. It was Empire of the Ants and The Incredible Melting Man. Both were it was a double feature. So the Empire of the Ants was ants who get caught in radiation, and the Incredible Melting Man was the second movie where a man gets caught in radiation. There's radiation. So then they're showing in the Empire of the Ants, they're showing these ants are giant because they got caught in radiation, they're eating up people. Then it shows you the view from the ants. When the ants look at people, apparently they have like 16, they see it in 16. I don't know how they know this, but apparently they know this. So you're seeing like a distorted vision. You don't know which is where the person actually is. So the commentators actually say that their vision was distorted because they were also evil. So they're looking at him, he's talking about destruction, and they look at him like he looks like he's got a smirk on his face, so they didn't take him seriously. That's their punishment for being no good. That's the one of the commentators actually says it. Okay, now, Posuk Tesvav. Now, there's a very important lesson coming up. Ukemo hashachar Allah vayitzu ha'anashim habalochim belot lemor. The angels say to Lot, they urge him, Kum kaches ishtecha v'shtei v'nosecha. Take your wife and your two daughters, hanim tzaos, who are here, pantisafe be'ovon ha'ir, lest you go down because of the sin of the city. How does he translate tisafe? It's a good word. How do you lest you be swept away? Okay. Vayisma'ama, Lot delays. Lot is kind of indecisive over here. And the way you'll notice the trup over the word Vayisma'ama is a shalsheles, which is Vayisma'ama. That's how it's read. Because I'm saying, hey, get out of here. Take your wife and daughters and run. And you're looking back like, I got a big house, lots of money, bank accounts. I'm a rich man. There's a delay over here. The angels take his hand, because Hashem has mercy on him. They take him and put him outside the city. Now, two more psukim, gentlemen. Then he took him out. Vayomer, the angel says to him, Vayomer himolet, run. That's himolet, comes from the same root as the name Lot. Lot in himolet. Himolet, escape. Lot's the great escaper. He escaped from the World War. Avram rescued him from the World War. Now Lot's about to be escaped now from another destruction. Right? Lot is the guy who's the great Vayimolet. Himolet al nafshecha, run for your life. Al tabit acharecha, don't look back. Val tamod b'chol hakikar, don't stay in anywhere in the area. Hahara himolet pentisafa, run to the mountains lest you be gathered in. What does the angel mean when he says don't look back? Run and don't look back. Don't run and don't look back. Don't think about going back. The first idea here is, the plain meaning is, imagine there are 3 sons in the house, like we had, okay? Now, the one son, the good family goody-goody, is in his room doing homework. The 2 other sons are in the living room involved in big-time wrestling, which you're not supposed to be doing because they're under strict orders that the parents, you never involve in big-time wrestling. The parents are out. They'll be back in a little while. And while these guys are in between big-time wrestling and throwing a Nerf football in the living room, any similarities to my own real life are purely coincidental, right? And so the what do you call it? And the 2 are either big time wrestling or they're throwing a football, diving, practicing timing dives onto the couch and catching it as you dive, whatever they're doing in the living room, and then a lamp gets knocked over. Now, how did the lamp fall? One of the guys nailed it with the football. The other one had, he was going out for the pass, but he wasn't actively involved. Now, the father happens to walk in just as the lamp crashes. So he takes the one brother over his knee, the guy who threw the football, he starts spanking him. The other brother is peeking from around the corner, watching getting entertainment while this is happening. What happens if the father notices him looking? He says, listen, you just escaped by the skin of your teeth. You really deserve it too, because you were involved, albeit passively, but you weren't that passive. And therefore, if I catch you looking, the father's like, and you're standing there looking, and you're also making faces at your brother as he's getting, kind of like that, whatever it is. And then the father comes over and he grabs you and spanks you also, because you're not that much different than he is. What about if the 3rd brother comes down, who's doing his homework, and he comes down to get an apple from the kitchen? He happens to look, father doesn't mind him. He's like, you're not involved. I know you're not involved. This is what has to be done. That's Avram, Lot, and Sodom. The people of Sodom deserve to be destroyed. Lot, not much better. Don't look back. I don't want you looking at their punishment. You should be sharing the punishment, not looking back. Get out of here. Avram Avinu, him I come and I actually tell what I'm about to do. God says to Avram, they're going to get punished, they're going to be destroyed. God talks openly to Avram because he's not involved in any way, shape, or form. So the first idea of don't look back is you don't deserve to look back. You're no better than them, and therefore you deserve what they have. Just run. That's idea number 1. Idea number 2 is what Aaron says. Looking back indicates that there's a yearning for what was going on over there. Don't look back means that city of immorality, which you have taken a favor, you've taken kindly to it, because Lot was also interested in everything immoral about it. Don't look back. Doing tshuva means go forward, go in the other direction. Looking back indicates you don't really regret it. Don't look back, oh boy, if Las Vegas would be destroyed, the casinos, and people are running out, a couple of guys are running away, and they're looking at, oh, there goes my job. You don't regret it? Bad enough that you were doing it, you don't regret it? That means you haven't done tshuva. Don't look back. Don't look back. Move ahead. That's the way you indicate that you've really done tshuva, number 2. Number 3 is a lesson for us. The lesson for us is, especially Bali tshuvas who did not know about Yiddishkeit before, and then they found out about it and they start making changes in their lives. Don't waste your time looking back at things and feeling guilty where you're not really guilty. Don't look back. What are you wasting your time thinking about, I can't believe I would. Was it your fault? Did you know any better? You were raised a certain way? Forget about it. Move forward. Just move forward. Don't look back. Don't waste your time. It doesn't gain anything, and it's not even your issue. Say al chet, klap al chet in Yiddish. They say klap al chet and geh weiter. You had a setback in life? I'm sorry, and go forward. Nobody expects you to be perfect just yet. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Lot, what do you call it? Start moving. Now, I did see one other explanation, which is very interesting. This is more out of the context of Sodom, as opposed to, it's more in the context of life in general. God comes down to Sodom to destroy it. That means that the divine presence is there. And he says to Lot, don't look back. Because you don't deserve to see the divine presence destroying Sodom. But there's a life lesson here. The life lesson here is that don't look back because you don't deserve to see it. If you would look back, you would see the divine presence. And what that really means is for any individual, if you look back in your life and you'll see how things worked in your life, you'll see, what am I doing here? And if you look back, you'll see the divine presence.
Yeah.
You'll see illogical things, totally illogical, how one thing led to another, and you ended up where you ended up. It could be in relationships when you realize how you met your wife. It made absolutely no sense how you met your wife, and it made no sense how you ended up with a job, and it made no sense. And I've found with personal experience, most of anything good that's ever happened to me is not because of anything I did. It's in spite of things that I've done. And sometimes I've done everything possible to not end up in that situation, somehow ended up in a very good situation, simply in spite of what Kadosh Baruch Hu decided, this is where I want you right now. And if and often business deals and that sort of thing, exactly the thing that you think doesn't work is the thing that does work, and the thing that you think will work is the thing that gets you fired. And it's remarkable, and that's how Kadosh Baruch Hu has a little sense of humor, how he runs the world. He says, aha, you think it's you? I'll show you it's me. And if you look back in your life, you'll see that choices that you made, I look back at certain choices I made, what was I thinking? I have no idea. And the only conclusion was I wasn't thinking. Because if I was thinking, I definitely would have messed up. So I did, I made a choice, and it was a spontaneous choice, it was a spur of the moment choice, and all of a sudden you ended up in one place and another place. You look back, I don't know, how did I ever come up with that? How did I ever get that idea? Everybody has that in their life. Everybody makes these things in their life. That's what it's alluding to. Lot, don't look back because you'll see the Shekhinah. That means everybody else, when you do look back, you'll see the divine presence in your life. You'll see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's one of the ideas when God says to Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe Rabbeinu says, let me see you, Hareini na'es kevodecha, let me see your glory. God says, you can't see me from the front, you'll see me from the back. And the commentaries explain, see me from the back is that it's only with hindsight in life, it's only with hindsight that you see how certain things worked out. You don't understand it as it's happening. And sometimes after it happens, you look back a little bit, then you get an inkling of where. It doesn't mean that you've come to the right conclusion, but sometimes you just see how, I see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu ran this. And some things in life are more obvious than others, but it's clear that it's there. Now, take a look. I want to show you something remarkable now. So they start running away, and they go off to the mountains. And then in Pasuk Chav 26, Mrs. Lot looks back and she turns into a pillar of salt, because in Chazal say it's because on page 88. Chazal say Mrs. Lot looks back, she turns into a pillar of salt because she has once done an Vayeira with salt. The guests came into the house and Lot was giving them salt. Salt was apparently a very pricey commodity, and she gave them salt, and Lot gave them salt, and she said, "What, this bad custom you also want to bring here? It's not bad enough you're bringing guests, but you want to treat them with royalty." So she was very upset. Okay, now.
I think I mentioned when she went to the neighbors asking for salt, so that they knew that they had guests.
Oh, something like that, or she indicated, something along those lines. So she's no good. She turns into a pillar of salt. Okay, now take a look at Pasuk 29. Avram Avinu gets up and he sees smoke coming up from that area, so he knows that something's happened. Now look at Pasuk 29. We're going to take a look at a very, very interesting concept here. Vayehi b'shaches Elokim es Orei HaKikar, it was when God destroyed the cities of the plain. Vayizkor Elokim es Avram, God remembers Avraham. Vayeshalach es Lot mitocha hafecha, he sends out Lot from the turmoil. When he turned over the cities that Lot was sitting in. So in this pasuk, the commentaries point out, and unfortunately point out, it seems like it's out of context a little bit. God remembers Avram, and he sent Lot out of the overturned cities. What's Avram Avinu got to do with this? How did Avram get in here? It should just say God remembered Lot, and he rescued Lot. How did Avram creep into the picture all of a sudden? So look at Rashi on Pasuk Chav Tes. It's the second column, bottom line. Second column, bottom line. Vayizkor Elokim es Avram, page 88, second column of Rashi, remembers the bottom line. Vayizkor Elokim es Avraham, Mahu zichiroso shel Avram. What is this memory of Avram? Says Rashi, Al Lot nizkar. He remembered regarding Lot. Shehaya Lot yodea shesara ishto shel Avram. Lot knew that Sarah was really Avram's wife. V'shama she'amar Avram b'Mitzrayim al Sarah achosihi. He heard that Avram said, it's my sister. V'lo gila hadavar. He didn't blow the cover on it. Shehaya chas olav. He had compassion on Avram Avinu. Lefichach chas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore Hashem had compassion on him. So why does the Torah mention that he remembered Avram Avinu? He remembered Avram Avinu in the context of Lot. That Lot, you once did something kind for Avram Avinu, therefore we're going to save you also. I don't understand. I mean, Avram Avinu is with his nephew. They come down to Mitzrayim. He says, well, it's my sister. And Lot's sitting there, and Lot says, no, it's actually his wife. You didn't say that? Ah, what a tzaddik. You didn't snitch. You didn't turn him over to the police. You didn't rat him out. And therefore, what a tzaddik, we'll save you. I mean, most people in life, in class, if you would do something like that, you would get beaten up after school so bad. Everybody in life sees that as being a no good low life. You're all, what, because Lot wasn't a low life, so he deserves to be saved. That's why you say, well, what's going on here? So the answer is, you see, let's go back to the genealogy a little bit. Avram Avinu's father was who? Terach. Terach had a brother named Haran. Okay, now Haran has a son named Lot. Haran also has a daughter. Sarah is the daughter. Avram Avinu married his niece, Sarai. So it turns out that what? Lot and Sarai are brother and sister. Now, Avram Avinu goes down to Mitzrayim. They say, who is she? My sister. Your sister? We're writing you out a check right now for $5 million. I mean, if I'm Lot, this guy's getting a check because he said it's a sister. And if I was Lot, I'd say, hey, 1 second, but she is my sister. She's really mine. 1 second over here. That's my money, not his money. It's one thing that you're not going to kill the guy, but he's taking my money. That's it. You understand? That's a test. Not a test of, will you be a schnook and blow the whistle because you want to be a goody-goody? I once told on a kid, my mother was so upset with me. I was thirsty, and this other kid snuck out of class and he got a drink. And I also wondered, we just come back from recess. So I said, hey, he ran out of the room to get a drink. So he got in trouble. And I came home and I told my mother, I said, what did you snitch on him for? What did you tattle on him for? My own mother. What did you tattletale on him for? So the guy, that's a jerk. Oh, now we're talking about money. Money's a test. You're taking money. They're paying for a sister over here. You're not the sister. You're not the brother. They're paying for a sister, and you're taking my money. That's a test. You overcame the test. That's already something you deserve a reward for. Yeah, to not be a jerk, you don't really deserve that reward. But you didn't say it's your sister. That's something else. It's idea number one. Idea number two, didn't Lot have any other merit? Can you think of any other merit Lot had? He hosted the angels at great personal risk, and not only he hosted them, he was willing to take on the people. He was in a distorted way willing to give up his daughters, but he was willing to sacrifice a lot to protect his guests. Isn't that a tremendous merit? So you see from here that the biggest merit a person could have is guarding your mouth. You didn't say something inappropriate, that's a big merit. All it was you didn't say something. Speech. You managed to guard your mouth, that's the biggest merit. You know the story? These two girls are on a bus. And one of them says to the other one, hey, I heard Chani is a kala. I heard Chani got engaged. So the other girl says, yeah, her poor chassan. Yeah, I know what you mean. She was my roommate in seminary, and she was just, she's selfish, and she's always talking about herself, and she uses too much makeup, and she's a slob. And for 10 minutes, they're talking about Chani. All of a sudden, they get a tap from behind the woman behind them sitting on the bus. She says, girls, I just want to tell you something. I've been listening to your conversation for the last 10 minutes. That chassan, Ephraim, I happen to be his aunt. And I think I'll pass this message, the information on to the family. I think they're probably going to be interested in knowing this before any commitments are really finished. The girls say, no, that's not, they feel horrible. No, that's not what we meant. We meant sloppy in an artistic way, and you start doing it. Our words were taken out of context, that whole kit and caboodle. And the lady says, no, I heard you. Thank you very much. It's very important information. The girl there says she lets them stew for about 5 minutes. Then she gets up, rings the bell on the bus. She stands up. Bus is pulling to a stop. She's about to get off. She turns to the girl and says, girl, I just want to tell you something. I'm not really his aunt, but I could have been. Right? Person's mouth is a dangerous, dangerous weapon. Mouth is a very dangerous, when unleashed. Somebody once said, a closed mouth gathers no feet. Keep your mouth closed and you won't put your foot in your mouth. One of the best formulas for survival. Lod has a merit over. You know what Lod's merit is? Doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. That's a tremendous, that's what the Torah is teaching you. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to continue on with Lot and his daughters, which is also a remarkable little episode with a lot more depth than you could possibly imagine.